reforms, and especially with addressing the nature, the morality, the integrity, the credibility of our netas, politicians, ministers. The Union Home Minister Amit Shah tabled 3 bills: the Constitution Bill, the Government of Union Territories Amendment Bill, and the Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Amendment Bill 2025. Together, these bills strike at the criminalization of politics. The centre says the bills are to bring morality back into politics, and the principle is crystal clear. If any Prime Minister, Union Minister, Chief Minister or State Minister is arrested and held for 30 consecutive days for offences carrying a minimum 5-year sentence, then by the 31st day they must resign or be automatically removed. The bill has now been referred to a JPC or a Joint Parliamentary Committee of 31 members after a voice vote, but after a stormy session in the Lok Sabha with protests, placards and even papers torn and thrown at the Home Minister itself, a huge sign of disrespect and of course abuse of parliamentary decorum. Now he recounted his time as Home Minister in Gujarat while tabling the bills. Amit Shah said where he had resigned and did not take up a single role till the time he was acquitted.
मैं रिकॉर्ड क्लियर करना चाहता हूं, मुझ पर झूठे आरोप लगाए तब अरेस्ट होने के पहले मैंने नैतिकता के मूल्यों का हवाला देकर इस्तीफा भी दिया और जब तक मैं कोर्ट से निर्देश नहीं हुआ कोई संविधान पद मैंने स्वीकार नहीं किया। ये क्या सिखाते हैं नैतिकता में? मैं तो इस्तीफा देकर गया था और मैं तो चाहता हूं कि ये नैतिकता के मूल्य बढ़े। हम ऐसे निर्लज्ज नहीं हो सकते कि हम पर आरोप लगे और हम संवैधानिक पद पर रहें। अरेस्ट के पहले मैंने इस्तीफा दिया है।
Now, however, the opposition has united over this matter and has claimed that the bill is an attack on judicial safeguards, parliamentary democracy and Bharat's federal structure. Listen in.
New bill that the BJP is proposing. We are going back to medieval times when the king could just remove anybody at will. There's no concept of what an elected person is. He doesn't like your face, so he tells ED, put a case, and then democratically elected person is wiped out within 30 days. This is new.
The Supreme Court has held that rule of law is a part of the basic structure of the Constitution. And implicit in the rule of law is that you are presumed innocent until proven guilty. This bill stands that principle on its head. It makes the SHO the boss of the Prime Minister. This bill is completely and absolutely destructive of democracy.
उस बिल में ये भी है कि प्राइम मिनिस्टर को कौन अरेस्ट करेगा, प्राइम मिनिस्टर को बताइए। और प्राइम मिनिस्टर ये उसमें उस बिल में कह रहे हैं, प्राइम मिनिस्टर के बिल में कह रहे हैं कि प्रेसिडेंट करेगा। अरे भाई, संविधान में हमने लिख दिया कि द प्रेसिडेंट विल एक्ट ऑन द एड एंड एडवाइस ऑफ द काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर्स। पोलिस स्टेट बनाने का काम बीजेपी सरकार करना चाहती है इन तीनों बिलों के जरिए, जिसकी हम पुरजोर इसकी मुखालिफत करेंगे।
But a quick fact check highlights the weakness of the opposition's argument. The India bloc is saying that bills violate innocent until proven guilty, this entire tenet of jurisprudence. But the reality is the Supreme Court in the Senthil Balaji case itself sought to reinstate the practice of forcing tainted netas to resign on moral grounds. The India bloc further has accused or alleged that bills introduced without first circulating it amongst opposition leaders. Now the reality is that the bill has been tabled but has been straightaway referred to a JPC for further scrutiny. The India bloc further has said that the law will be used to weaponize agencies to destabilize opposition governments. But the reality is that the law's writ applies equally across all states. Remember, law and order is a state subject. And netas facing criminal charges across the board. Anybody hindering good governance will be under the ambit, including the Prime Minister. Now the moot point is what? Clean up politics. That is the need of the hour. as there are several instances where netas, politicians, ministers have refused to take the moral step to step aside when under scrutiny. Look at Arvind Kejriwal, the ex-Delhi Chief Minister, arrested on the 21st of March 2024. He resigned on the 17th of September 2024. Nawab Malik, ex-Maharashtra Minister, arrested on the 23rd of February 2022, resigned on the 27th of March 2022. Senthil Balaji, ex-Tamil Nadu Minister, arrested on the 14th of June 2023. He remained minister in jail. Satyendra Jain, ex-Delhi Minister, arrested on the 30th of May 2022, resigned on 28th of February 2023. So if there should be probity in politics, a certain level of morality in politics, why not? And this is not any or other accusation. If you are alleged or accused of committing a crime under the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, financial, criminal, otherwise, where the minimum stipulated punishment is 5 years, and you have been incarcerated for a minimum of 30 days, then on the 31st day, you should resign or you should be replaced, summarily dismissed. Let's go across to our guests and understand what they think. Syed Zafar Islam, BJP spokesperson; Nikul Patel, political analyst, leans towards the Congress party; and Dr. Anand Ranganathan, author, political commentator and scientist. My namaste and Jai Hind to everybody. Thank you very, very much for your time. Syed Zafar Islam, you're turning Bharat into a police state, sir. Who will put the Prime Minister in jail? Mr. Asaduddin Owaisi asks.
I think Mr. Asaduddin Owaisi should hear the voice of a common man on the street, because everybody feels, away from the politician, the rest of the mayor of this great country, they feel that politicians को तो हाथ ही नहीं लगाया जा सकता है. The Honorable Prime Minister has demonstrated by introducing this bill that nobody is above the law, and if anybody is committing crime, there is a place for them, is behind the bar. And if somebody goes behind the bar, if somebody feels that they are innocent and still they have gone behind the bar, then there is a recourse, redressal for them or recourse for them, legal recourse is there to get the bail and come back, and his position can be reinstated even after 31st days. So there is enough opportunity for the people who feel that they are innocent, still have been put behind the bar beyond 30 days. They can come back, take the either before 30 days, during these 30 days they can take a bail and remain there, or after 30 days, once automatically their position is taken away, then they can come back again. So that provision is there. But let me tell you very thing, which is, these are the process, but what is more important is the message for the people of this great country, that the Honorable Prime Minister is a Naya Bharat. A Naya Bharat always want that nobody should be above the law, including the Prime Minister, and if anybody commits a crime, then there should be, the politics should be free from crime and criminals, and that is something which is the message for the people. And I think this has primarily because of the three instances you have shown, the Nawab Malik episode, this Senthil Balaji episode, this more importantly, had Kejriwal resigned and not insisted to remain in jail and still remain as Chief Minister despite being in jail. So this bill, if it gets passed, then people cannot say that I am in the prison, but still I will continue to be the ex-minister or vice minister or chief minister, because law will not let them do that. Because in the case of Arvind Kejriwal, if you can recollect, Anand, the Honorable Supreme Court had observed that there is no law, there is a vacuum. Had there been a law, perhaps Supreme Court would have asked him to resign. But he insisted to continue to be chief minister despite the people of Delhi were suffering, purely because there was no law and Supreme Court could not ask him to resign. But now with this law, once it becomes a law, Supreme Court observation will come true that there is a law and people cannot continue to be holding the constitutional position despite being in the prison. So I think the people of this great country will welcome this, because Swachhata is Swachhata in politics and people will accept it, they will welcome it. Yes, only the criminals and the people who have committed crime or the mindset of criminal mindset will not welcome it. And let me tell you last thing, Rahul Gandhi In 2013, what did he do? The ordinance, he torn it apart, purely saying that this is not acceptable. And the same Rahul Gandhi is now sitting in the lap of Lalu Yadav. So where is the sanity in the politics?
Sir, probity in
I
politics.
think this law will.
I have a lot of questions, but let's just open it up and let's listen to everybody else also before I have a few questions coming your way. Syed Zafar Islam, Nikul Patel, your thoughts?
See, right now also the law is above everyone. I think we have very good constitution and very good laws where any culprit who is being punished, whether he is a minister, chief minister, or anyone is being put behind the bars, and he is punished, I think. And over here, what I think BJP wants to bring the law about putting removal from the constitutional position after 30 days. That is, I think, little bit controversial. That is what I think Congress and opposition is demanding, that the constitution states that unless and until you are guilty, you must not be said you are guilty. And if whatever case you are also referring, still the people are on bail and they are not being convicted. And though they have been into jail for a long duration of time, the moral responsibility of every citizen or every political person is that he should step down. But in some situation, we find that people are not stepping down. But if government want to bring a law, then it's up to them. But that will be a part of discussion, and let's see how the things build up. But definitely, opposition wants to have a feeling that the present government wants to derail.
But on moral grounds, no, those moral grounds is a fair question. Probity in public life is something which you and me would also want.
Yeah.
So, बट अगर कोई ढीठ है, हटने को तैयार नहीं है, उसको तो there should be some law कि उसको हटाया जा सके ना, निकुल जी.
No, but see, that is what there are the laws. Once you are guilty, then you are put behind the bars, and you whenever there is an imprisonment of more than 2 years, you cannot be even member of parliament and member of any assembly. I would like to quote another example of Chaitar Vasawa. He is asking for bail since so many days, but he the वो तारीख पे तारीख हो रही है, और अभी I think he is more than 30 days into the jail right now, an MLA from Gujarat. So either he should be removed or what should be done. He is being charged of some event that has happened during a political program, and he is now behind the bars.
No, he's behind the bars, but it's not the government which is denying him bail. It's the court.
But then also that
it's the court. It's the court.
30-day duration is in law. If the 30-day duration is law, and if it is not guilty, if it is not, that's why what my
no. It's not about 30-day duration in law. It's just that person has to step aside. If that person is holding the position of a minister, chief minister, or whatever position, which is a position of responsibility in a state government or at the center, that person has to step aside till they are proven innocent. Because that's probity in politics. That's the whole logic. But here is the thing, Dr. Ranganathan, Nikul Patel said that the law is equal for all. It's not. The law does not apply to judges of the Supreme Court or the top courts of our country. It does not apply to judges, sir. Our law does not apply to judges. Netas are ready to police themselves, but they cannot police the judges, police the courts.
No, absolutely.
So I'm just sorry. I'm just saying that somebody takes suo moto cognizance, passes a diktat against stray dogs, and it's the chief minister of the state that gets slapped for it. So where is the culpability? So the law is not equal for all, Nikul Patel. Yes, go ahead. Yes, Dr. Ranganathan.
Oh, yeah. Good evening, Anand. Good evening to my fellow panelists. Look, I think very briefly there are two issues here, and I think both merit going into. First, let me very quickly read out the 130th amendment for your viewers. Quote, a minister who for any period of 30 consecutive days during holding the office is arrested and detained in custody on allegation of committing an offence under any law shall be removed from his office by the president on the advice of the prime minister, unquote. The key phrase, Anand, in this word salad is allegation of committing an offence. Now, point number one, not a day goes by when politicians and political parties cutting across ideologies and ruling dispensations demand the resignation of fellow politicians on whom charges of corruption or impropriety have been levelled, but who haven't been proclaimed guilty in a court of law. Is it not a fact that the same Congress today, you have the spokesman of the Congress, demanded the Chief Minister Kejriwal's resignation over liquor scam, even though till today he has not been proven guilty in a court of law. And not just Kejriwal. Congress demanded resignation of Gujarat Chief Minister Bhupendra Patel over bridge corruption, of Kerala Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan over CMRL case, of Karnataka Chief Minister Yediyurappa over CD corruption allegation. So why are they protesting now if such demands of theirs is consecrated in law by Amit Shah, and that too with riders more protective than what they never even applied? For example, the minister has to be in jail for 30 days. Is it also not a fact that the same Congress demanded resignation of these chief ministers because it claimed, not without reason it has to be said, that they will influence the case, coerce witnesses, destroy evidence, and try and derail the investigative process? And now these legitimate reasons concerning morality and propriety of investigation are being discarded because you have to oppose Modi. Anand, this is rank hypocrisy. But then I'm not surprised. Now, very quickly to point number 2. Anand, as unsettling as it may sound to some, a man is innocent until proven guilty, and that is the foundational principle upholding our justice system. Only a court can make the determination with finality. The government's duty is to ensure punishment falls solely on the guilty, embodying the Blackstone principle. Constitutional provisions like Article 14, 38, 39 and 21 enshrine the right to offence as a core fundamental right extended beyond just Indian citizens. Now being called and accused is enough to be proclaimed guilty because removal from one's office is actually a type of punishment. It is easy to implicate anyone in a false case, and the incompetence, subservience or cowardliness of investigative officers in destroying evidence cannot be a defense to form a law that must always be made on first principles. Did you, for example, know that under NSA or even Public Safety Act in Jammu and Kashmir, you do not immediately invoke the courts? In fact, if you're charged under PSA, you can be thrown in jail for 2 years without appearing in a court. Look, 31% of our Lok Sabha MPs face serious criminal charges. 32% of our sitting chief ministers face serious criminal charges. Unless the state sets up tens of separate courts and judicial mechanisms to hear cases that pertain only to politicians and public servants, unless these cases are admitted, heard and disposed within 6 months, I'm sorry Anand, we cannot hope for a better future for this country. Till that time, we must leave it to the morality of the politician or the rules of the party.
No, but if you leave it to the morality of the politicians, some of the politicians don't have morality. Their moral base is so low that it's not visible. So what do you do in a situation like that? But for Islam, this law can be weaponized very easily. There are tools like PMLA, there are tools like NSA and PSA that he spoke about, Dr. Ranganathan spoke about, where arrest can be shown and bail can be denied. You can be charged on non-bailable offences and somebody can be put behind bars for 30 days, and it's a very easy way to dethrone or remove a particular neta, minister, etc. So that's a legitimate concern that people have.
No, see, people may have concern, but every law has its advantage as a disadvantage. But that doesn't mean that you cannot introduce a law just because somebody can use it inappropriately. Having said that, what is important to have a law which potentially cannot be misused, and every law, irrespective of which law has been made in the country, can be misused. So just because somebody can misuse it, that should not become a deterrent to introduce a bill or make a legislation which is good for the country and betterment for clearing the politics. Now the question which you have asked, see that is a very arbitrary question, that somebody can be put behind unless you commit crime, unless you are making an offence. Who will be sent behind the bar? Even today, if that was the intent, then even today somebody can be sent behind the bar.
No, so that
I mean,
is,
most of the people have resigned. Like for instance, just one example, Hemant Soren, for instance, the case you just mentioned about the case PMLA and all the other, Hemant Soren went behind the bar. After 4 months, he resigned. Before going to jail, he resigned, and once he came back after he got the bail from the Supreme Court, he again sworn in as chief minister. I mean, any politician can do that because there is a recourse available. But 30 days is enough time You can take an anticipatory bail. You can again approach the Session Court, High Court or Supreme Court and get the bail. And I think that is important, that you have enough recourse available, legal recourse available. But for criminals, it is only for cleaning politics from crime and criminals.
Dr. Ranganathan, yes.
Yeah, Zafar ji is a very dear friend and a lawyer, so talking about law to him is like taking coal to Dhanbad. But I just want to say this, law as far as layman is concerned does not work on anecdotal evidence. It works on first principles. You must take care of all aberrations and misuse of law. But in this case, I have to say this, you are not misusing a good law. You are using a bad law. So that is the problem out here. Now, Mr. Zafar Islam has not explained to us, under NSA, under PSA, a chief minister or a minister or even a prime minister can be hauled up, thrown in jail for up to 2 years without an appearance in court. Forget about bail. Now, how is that not an aberration and use of a bad law? Please explain on first principles.
Okay, yes, Zafar Islam.
First of all, Mr. Anand Raghunathan, I'm an economist, not a lawyer.
Lawyer.
So just to correct,
he's a banker and an economist.
I'm sorry.
So that I'm just correcting. Second thing that, see, this has been referred to Joint Parliamentary Committee. Any concern, irrespective of which political parties are there, everybody has a representation in this JPC. Anything which you think that needs to be addressed, I'm sure it will get addressed. And the final law, what will be a final bill which will be introduced to the Parliament, will ensure that all this concern which you have just stated will adequately address. That is why it has been referred to JPC, so that the feedback from everyone, including you, or for that matter all the JPC member, they will definitely refer to all the experts and give their inputs. And eventually the bill will be in a shape which can address all the concerns the people have. But ultimately the objective is that people should feel that nobody is above the law. Ye politician ko haath nahi laga sakte. That feelings will go, and people will feel that everybody has accountability, including Prime Minister, Chief Minister or the ministers, and there is a probity, and people will be made accountable for crimes they commit. That's all. That's the only objective.
Yeah, but Nikul Patel, what is wrong in this whole aspect of insisting on probity in politics? And this is a perennial law. आज सरकार बीजेपी की है, कल सरकार किसी और की होगी, the rules remain there. And the point is, law and order is a state subject, right? So it's no, why only look at central agencies? States also have the ability, and there is law and order in the state also. Nobody should be allowed to misuse their position of power. Yes, Ji.
Yeah, definitely. Whenever there is a law, it's equal for everyone, and nobody is allowed to misuse the power. And the agencies or the executives are really responsible to implement in the correct way and its correct faith in it, right? But we have seen into practice that many times the ruling party has an edge over the executive wing, and that is how the law is being misused sometime. And that is the correct interpretation right now, what the heat that is being felt by the opposition right now. But then also, you rightly said, it can be on the other way around also. When you come or when others come into power, they can use it. But overall, if you see the scenario, the real gist of the constitution says that unless and until you are convicted, you should not be dethroned from any
no, but that doesn't apply to you and me. It doesn't apply to IAS officers. IAS officers, 24 hours if they are, 48 hours if they are behind bars. IAS officers, any government servant, they get suspended. They don't get to continue in office. They don't get to continue in office. They have to be moved out. If you and me working in private organizations, we are put behind bars, what is going to happen? We'll be sent on either administrative leave without pay, or immediately asked to resign, to be reinstated only once we prove ourselves innocent. So the rules don't apply the same. It's another matter. No judges are put under this law. The courts don't come under this law. Judiciary is separate out of this law. So that's another unique problem. I'll keep highlighting it because it's a pinprick. You know, bags full.
Also, it's a matter of the legislature to make all equal. If you want to make everyone equal into the country, then definitely what you are claiming is that the law is not same for everyone. It is again the laws made by the legislature which are being implemented by the executive and judgment given by the judiciary.
Will Congress support this law, Nikulji? Will Congress support this law to bring judges under the same law? Will you support it? That's the question.
Definitely there. You can see if, what is being discussed now. Let's see what is happening into the Joint Parliamentary Committee. That is what I have expressed my feeling that the executive
When
behave in
NJSC
a
came,
different
who opposed
way
it
when they are
vehemently?
into-
Who opposed it most vehemently when NJSC came? This is the classic. This is the classic. सुर जहाँ से निकल रहा है वो उस साइड से ढोल बजाओ. It cannot be like that. You have to have a unilateral position.
Anand, what you are telling is that law is not same for everyone. I think I deny that argument for you. That what you are making.
No, the law is not same, sir. Because you have made different laws for probity in public life for different people.
Yes.
And for certain people,
We had
our
made
judges
that
not
law.
in public
We had
life.
made that law.
There,
We have made that law.
our judges,
We are the
our
people who are
judges,
electing
our
the people
judges.
to the floor
No,
of the
our
parliament.
judges not in public life.
You cannot
No,
deny
why
that you are not making the
our
law.
court are
think-
how are they above the
I
law?
would like to correct
How
you.
are
I would like to correct you.
judges in how are our courts?
Anand.
How are our judges allowed to make their own laws and decide for themselves? Don't
I
they
would
have
like to
public
correct
life?
you.
They are quoted. They are quoted on the mastheads of our newspapers and on the top bands of our news channels because of their observations. And how can their own probity, their own integrity not be under the scrutiny of the law? Their own act cannot. How can it not be under the scrutiny of the law? How cannot? Are you trying to say that they cannot make a criminal error? They cannot do financial irregularities? Which law is going to push them? And Asaduddin Owaisi as a barrister is asking who's going to put the Prime Minister behind bars. Let me ask him, as a barrister, can he explain to me who's going to put a judge of the Supreme Court behind bars? Which law? So these are questions we need to ask, sir. And politicians, sir, because moral integrity is important because you are people's representatives. There is no...
But again, I would like to make one final statement that we are the people who are electing the people to the floor of the parliament. So you cannot say that we are not making the law. It's an elected representative of all the people at that particular constituency. So we all are responsible for that. If we feel that that law is not correct, then the people of that constituency should make...
And this law does not extend to parliamentarians because they are not ministers, but parliamentarians are voting, are putting their hand up to make the law, but they are not under the ambit of this law. Look at the number of people who are influencing policy, influencing public life, influencing responsible for probity in public life, but should there be accountability? Yes. Should there be morality? Yes. But
Definitely.
that morality cannot be pick and choose. Some people can't say I am above moral standards. Others can't say that you are going to be subjected to far stricter moral standards than I am. ये तो फिर यहीं पे classification हो गया, यहीं पे discrimination हो गया. I have to move on. I have to move on. Sorry, we got big news coming through from Russia. These are pictures of External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar meeting President Vladimir Putin in Moscow amid Bharat's bid to bolster ties with Russia as the Trump tariff storm rages. This is just on the sidelines of this that Dr. Jaishankar has clearly underlined that Bharat is not the biggest purchaser of Russian oil. It is China. And asking and somewhere indirectly, directly telling the Trump administration, if you are going to call us out, call out the Chinese first. Otherwise, we are going to call out your hypocrisy. Siddhant Mishra with more. Yes, Siddhant.
Well, that's right, Anand. Minister Jaishankar was in Moscow to attend intergovernmental delegation with the Russians. In fact, he also said that he is in Moscow to line up the outcomes for the summit meeting, which is scheduled to take place between Prime Minister Modi and President Putin later this year. In fact, both sides discussed nuclear cooperation, mobility, infrastructure opportunities, defense purchases, etc., etc. And now we're getting to know that, in fact, this picture has come from Moscow, where EM S. Jaishankar has called on President Putin. In fact, last week, it was NSA Doval who was in Moscow. In fact, he also called on President Putin, and ahead of Alaska talks, President Putin spoke to Prime Minister Modi after the Alaska talks.
Right.
With Prime Minister Modi. So perhaps it talks about the importance both sides attached to this relationship.
Right, we don't need B-52 bombers as protection, etc. And the friendship with Russia continues and it's strong. And more importantly, if there are nations that are going to try and bully and blow their trumpet about buying oil, then they need to first call out China. Moving on. The last day of the monsoon session concluded with both the houses clearing the online gaming bill. The Rajya Sabha passed the online gaming bill by voice vote. It was tabled in the upper house by Union Minister Ashwini Vaishnav amid sloganeering from opposition MPs. The Lok Sabha passed the bill on Wednesday. Now here are the key features of the bill. It is a blanket ban on money games. It prohibits hosting or promoting games involving money. The penalty is up to 3 years imprisonment or fines of 1 crore. Liability is beyond the operators, advertisers, sponsors, payment portals, that means banks also, brought into the scope and ambit of penalty. The penalty is also up to 2 years imprisonment or fines up to 50 lakh. Now, there is a separate space for esports and social gaming. The demarcation between money games and esports and social gaming has been clearly made, and the IT Minister Ashwini Vaishnav has very clearly said that esports, social games will be promoted by the government and they will be encouraged. The government to promote this online esports and also online social games. There is also going to be separate emphasis on creation of a gaming regulator, an authority on online gaming to be the sector's nodal body. The regulator will register, certify games and handle complaints. The regulator will also give directions to block non-compliant platforms. Extraterritorial reach. Offshore operators cannot bypass the law by hosting servers abroad. So there is a bid to even curb the international operators and those who have siphoned off thousands of crores via these games online, which have duped gullible users. Now, while critics call it overreach for a growing sector in Bharat, the government argues that the regulation was a need of the hour due to multiple factors, including rising fraud cases tied to online betting apps, increased number of suicides is one of the other issues, offshore operators flouting compliance norms, rising addiction, criminal misuse of platforms, bid to make e-gaming safe, accountable and responsible, and the creation of a uniform legal framework across states. So is the act a much needed reform to regulate the online space or a case of overreach? Let's go across to Sudhir Yadav, Supreme Court lawyer, and also L. Badri Narayanan, executive partner at LKS. It's a law firm which is actually handling this entire online gaming case in the Supreme Court. We should have Lokesh Suji in just a bit, but my namaste and Jai Hind, Mr. Badri Narayan and Sudhir Yadav. So let me ask you, Badri Narayanji, what's your thought process here? The government's approach is, let's do away with money gaming. Whether it's a game of skill, game of chance, doesn't matter. If there's money involved, it's not going to be allowed.
Thanks for having me. And I think, like I said, this is an interesting debate. Okay. And I, for one, have been working with this area for the last 10 years. And I've been involved in advising some of the big companies and investors in this area. And, there's been more than 25,000 crores of investment on the basis that there is a responsible and a legitimate online gaming space, which is played by people with certain guardrails in place. Now, the government, of course, seeks to completely ban, and there is no distinction being made between two types of businesses, one being game of skill and game of chance. And the Supreme Court and the legislature over the last 50 years has laid down the principles very clearly that games of skill are not considered to be betting and gambling and are outside the purview of regulations, the way we treat when it comes to prohibitions, like alcohol, betting, gambling, and other things. And we've had a series of discussions where there were proposals for self-regulatory bodies, there were proposals for guardrails, there were proposals for all of other things. My only thought process is that taking on this after 10 years of applying GST, collecting income taxes, allowing these platforms to be able to operate, to suddenly overnight say that the only way to regulate this space is to prohibit seems to be an overreach and might have some constitutional challenges ahead. That's my opening thought.
So there is an inclination to challenge this bill in the court of law, to look at its
There
legal
may be.
validity?
We are definitely considering and looking at this very closely. And definitely there have been instances in the past where such regulations have been challenged. Now, the companies will still take a decision with respect to what needs to be done. But considering that there are 2 lakh people who have employment attached to this industry, there are investors to whom the promoters and companies are answerable to. There are large amount of deposits which are kept. And the fact that there are companies which have legitimately worked in this area, which have been recognized and discussed in very high levels in MeitY, in finance ministry and other places, where there have been discussions around how to kind of ensure. There have been states like Tamil Nadu which have said that we will have age limits. And I'm saying, for example, for drinking, for driving, and other places, we have safety
Right.
norms. You have blackout periods, you have KYC norms, you have other guardrails by which. So I'm saying that if, for example, game of skill, game of chance, which not being illegal per se, or not betting and gambling per se, are not res extra commercium as a word that we use, then prohibition is not an automatic way of being able to regulate it. Okay?
Right.
And I
Sudhir
think
Yadav?
that's where we are.
Okay. Sudhir Yadav?
Sir, I really thank you for conducting this debate, which is very important and very relevant as of today. And I must say that the government has bring a really good act. It has taken care of everything that you can think of. They have built a commission to regulate all the gaming bodies, whatever their concerns are. They can go and approach the authority with the whatever their systems are, whatever their games are. And this authority has full right to issue guidelines, to issue notice against in the IT sections and other. And it is very much required act which has come after a long time. It has been demand from the people in large who has been key stakeholders in these money-related games. These games are not just games. These are this includes the betting apps as well, and many of them are being operated from outside. And see, the biggest challenge for any authority or the government is these developers or the gaming companies has the code. So if any one particular game got banned due to whatever the scam happened with the users, they can just open another website, upload the code, and it's live in 2 minutes. The law enforcement agency are chasing every corner to catch these people, and they are sitting abroad and doing scams with the people. These games are addictive.
No. Here's the concern. Then these laws should have been, guardrails should have been put up when these companies were being allowed into the country. 10 years down the line to do it is post facto. You have allowed an industry to establish without regulating it. Now, this is something which the government of the days have aired even with other platforms, where digital rights, digital sovereignty, security, all of this was not thought of. So, governments of the day have also got to be nimble. You can't do it 10 years down the line when they've seeded themselves to an extent that it's spread across the country. Bulk of the real money gaming monies don't come from the top 27 cities. They come from outside of the top 27. So you can see the spread and the depth to which they've already reached. Lokesh Suji, your thoughts?
Namaste. Thank you for having me. We fully support this particular bill because one, for the reason that it has very categorically differentiated the video games. Now earlier, basically we were facing one big problem in the terms of definitions. At times we have seen that, all these, let's say, the games which we are talking about,
right.
They were trying or they were clubbed along with esports. Now, esports is very different, right? Esports is, played with the intent of, entertainment. The intent behind participating in esports tournament is to win the medals for the country. And the intent is not that, you go out and, you will be looking at it. If you put in 10 rupees, you will make, let's say, 100 rupees out of it, or 10 lakh rupees out of it. So that's a great initiative. I do agree that it might, our government might have taken some time, but I think overall, when you look at this whole picture,
right,
this is very important. It's a great initiative for a very simple reason. I would definitely want to add in here. Now,
okay, Lokesh Suji, I have to interrupt you here because we had more news coming through earlier. The time on this conversation has been cut short, but with the promise that Badri and Lokesh and Subir will come back to you and take this up. Sudhir will take this up on Friday. That's tomorrow. So I'm going to already block your time and say that we're going to take this and do a longer conversation and in depth. We'll do a deep dive. So please block your calendars for 7 p.m. on Friday. We'll do this. For the moment, I have to move on. Thank you. Now, up next, a game changer to Bharat's firepower and defense capabilities, a deep dive on the latest update to Bharat's arsenal, the Agni 5 ballistic missile. On the 20th of August 2025, Bharat conducted a successful user trial of the Agni 5 from the Integrated Test Range in Chandipur in Odisha under the Strategic Forces Command, a fresh validation of the system's readiness and purpose. Just months earlier, on the 11th of March 2024, DRDO's mission Divyastra successfully tested the MIRV, Multiple Independently Targetable Re-Entry Vehicle, capability on the Agni 5, a milestone that materially strengthens the credibility of Bharat's nuclear deterrence. Now, extending the reach and deterrence, Agni 5 is an intermediate range ballistic missile designed to target well beyond 5,000 kilometers from Bharatiya territory. In strategic terms, this extends the coverage across the breadth of the Chinese mainland, closing the last remaining range gap that earlier Agni variants left, reducing any adversary's temptation to exploit sanctuary at a distance. Independent analysis after Mission Divyastra underlined that Bharat's long-range deterrent now has major Chinese cities in range, which is the essence of stable deterrence. The MIRV, fewer launchers, more targets, harder defenses. The 2024 MIRV test means a single Agni 5 can deliver multiple warheads to separate targets or to different aim points on one target, dramatically complicating any opponent's missile defense calculus. The MIRV also raises the cost to an adversary of a first strike because even a small surviving number of Agni 5 launchers can impose crippling damage, thereby strengthening a short retaliation, the heart of Bharat's posture. With respect to mobility and quick reaction, the Agni 5 is canisterized and road mobile. Housed in a hermetically sealed steel canister and mounted on a transporter erector launcher, it can be dispersed, hidden, and fired with shorter reaction times from pre-surveyed locations. The shoot and scoot flexibility multiplies survivability against preemptive strikes and surveillance, reinforcing second strike credibility, central to a no first use and retaliation only doctrine. So the doctrinal fit is that there is credible minimum deterrence. Agni 5's range, survivability, and MIRV payloads are purpose built to make retaliation credible, penetrative, and punitive, while remaining consistent with Bharat's restraint-based doctrine and civilian control. What's the strategic signaling and crisis stability? Regular, transparent user trials signal operational confidence without altering Bharat's declaratory posture. This reduces miscalculation. Adversaries must assume Bharat retains a survivable ability to retaliate across distance and through missile defenses, which dampens incentives for brinkmanship during crisis. The technology, depth and autonomy, or the indigenous ability. Now, beyond range and payload, Agni 5 reflects indigenous mastery of long-range missile technologies, from advanced navigation and guidance developed by DRDO to the complex MIRV bus and robust re-entry systems demonstrated in 2024. The cumulative effect is strategic autonomy. Bharat's deterrent credibility rests on its own industrial base, not vulnerable foreign supply chains. So what's the net advantage in the regional balance? Taken together, reach, MIRV, mobility, quick reaction readiness, and doctrinal clarity, Agni 5 gives Bharat what a responsible nuclear posture requires: the ability to impose unacceptable costs on any aggressor from any range that matters, even after absorbing a first strike. That is the precise strategic advantage a democracy like Bharat seeks: deterrence without provocation, stability without arms race theatrics, a message of restrained strength to our neighbors and beyond. Moving on, Donald Trump's warm ties with Pakistan reveal a deeper business arrangement in the crypto space between the Trump administration, Pakistan, and the somewhat invisible hand of China. Is this entire crypto deal between Trump and Pakistan a wider geopolitical game that Bharat needs to take note of? Here is a deep dive. Why is Donald Trump cozying up to Pakistan? A question that deserves some thought and perhaps answers. Donald Trump's warmth towards Pakistan has not gone unnoticed. The glowing statements for the Pakistan Army chief, who has been hosted by Washington DC, are in stark contrast with evidence of Pakistan's role in Pahalgam terror attack and the listing of the Resistance Front or TRF as a global terror organization by the United States. Now, from bailouts to military aid, the client state status of Pakistan is only expanding under Donald Trump. But beyond the strategic paradigm between the United States and Pakistan, it seems Donald Trump has made a deal. In late April 2025, World Liberty Financial, a cryptocurrency venture closely linked to the Trump family, signed a letter of intent with Pakistan's newly formed Pakistan Crypto Council. World Liberty Financial's ownership is central to the political framing. DT Marks LLC, an entity affiliated with Donald Trump and family members, holds roughly 60% of the WLF's holding company, with Eric Trump, Donald Trump Jr., and Jared Kushner as key figures behind the venture, and Trump mentioned as the co-founder emeritus. Report suggests rights to a sizable share of the specified crypto revenue stream. So who's on the Pakistan side? A fast-rising figure, Bilal bin Saqib, heads the Pakistan Crypto Council, and shortly after the letter of intent, he was appointed Special Assistant to the Prime Minister for Blockchain and Crypto with a Minister of State status. He's also an advisor to World Liberty Financial, Trump's family's crypto venture. Under his watch, Islamabad announced plans for a strategic national Bitcoin reserve and earmarked 2,000 megawatt of power for data mining and AI centers. Signals that the government wants to move from a posture of crypto skepticism to national scale experimentation. In June 2025, Bilal met with dozens of US lawmakers, including Senator Cynthia Lummis, the Bitcoin Act co-sponsor, Senator Bill Hagerty, and key White House advisors, pushing Pakistan's crypto agenda while serving in a Trump-linked venture. Where does the military fit in all this? Pakistan's army has long played an outsized role in economic policy and investor outreach. Now, for example, the Special Investment Facilitation Council was set up with a formal role for the army chief. Through 2025, Army Chief General Asim Munir, now Field Marshal, has personally fronted pitches to foreign investors and promised a security umbrella for big, sensitive projects in mining, energy, and now digital infrastructure. Major US and international outlets note that Pakistan's warming ties with Washington under President Trump have been choreographed with direct military involvement, including in the clusters that now include oil, crypto, and rare minerals discussions. Now, in that context, the process around the crypto deal, high-level meetings, overlapping outreach on trade and security, and the military's role in de-risking investment makes the army a practical stakeholder in any large-scale projects. The Financial Times likewise situates Pakistan's crypto overtures inside a broader pitch to the Trump administration, in which Field Marshal Munir and the new crypto minister are the twin faces of this effort. Why does Pakistan want this? Economically, Islamabad is searching for dollar inflows, cheaper transaction rails, and asset monetization paths after years of balance of payment stress. Politically, alignment with Trump-era Washington opens trade doors and buys time on tariffs. The Bitcoin reserve narrative and a national wallet are meant to telegraph seriousness to global crypto capital, while the letter of intent with the WLF ties that message into US political networks that matter currently in 2025. So what's the China connect here? Now, while the optics raise conflict of interest questions, even if no rules are broken, experts say that fast-track crypto rails could be misused for terror finance or sanctions evasion if controls are weak, and some point specifically to Pakistan's history with opaque funding channels. Now, this new crypto diplomacy deal has raised concerns over links to Binance and Chinese involvement. Binance is a crypto trading platform whose founder, Changpeng Zhao, aka CZ, is one of the focal points of this crypto deal, who serves as a strategic advisor to Pakistan Crypto Council. Despite claims of leaving China, Binance continues to hold links with commercial entities in China overseen by the Chinese Communist Party. Now, before the crypto deal, Zhao was sentenced to 4 months in prison for allowing money laundering towards terrorism, namely enabling funds transferred to terror groups including the Hamas, Al-Qaeda and ISIS. In November 2023, the United States hit Binance with a $4.3 billion penalty, the largest ever, after revelations that it funneled funds to Hamas, Al-Qaeda and ISIS and allowed a $1.1 million Iranian transactions, violating US sanctions. Binance has been subject to charges and investigations in several countries for terror funding and money laundering, including in France, India and Canada. So what are the regional and perhaps global political implications? For Bharat, the broader Trump-Pakistan thaw and Chinese involvement in the crypto deal shifts leverage in the India-China-Pakistan triangle and complicates New Delhi's own strategic calculus. For US politics, the Pakistan outreach coincides with a right-leaning US crypto bloc aligning with Trump's agenda even as bipartisan lawmakers probe governance questions around the WLF's foreign engagements. For China, it's another avenue to use Pakistan as a strategic asset in the geopolitical equations. Bottom line, what's colloquially called Trump's crypto deal is nested inside a much larger military-led economic charm offensive by Islamabad towards Washington, with a near-invisible Chinese hand, something that Bharat needs to watch out for. With that, we call it a wrap on this edition of The Right Stand, coming to you from the CNN News 18 Primetime Studios, presented by Schneider Electric Smart Home Solutions. Brass Tacks with Zaka Jacob up next.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Good evening, hello and welcome. You're watching Nation at 5 here on CNN News 18 with me, Poonam Burde. We begin this broadcast with what's transpiring in Tamil Nadu, and the battle for the assembly elections in 2026 is heating up. TVK's Vijay is addressing a mega rally in Madurai. Let's cut across.
அப்படிப்பட்ட அந்த சிங்கம் அவ்வளவு ஈஸியா எதையும் தொடாது, தொட்டா விடாது. காட்டோட 4 பக்கமும் மார்க்கிங் மை டெரிட்டரின்னு தன்னுடைய பவுண்டரியை தானே வகுக்கும். அப்படிதான் அந்த காட்டையே தன்னோட கண்ட்ரோல்ல வச்சிருக்கும். சிங்கத்துக்கு கூட்டத்தோட இருக்கிறதுக்கும் தெரியும், தனியா இருக்கிறதுக்கும் தெரியும். அப்படியே தனியா வரணும்னு நினைச்சாலும் அஞ்சாம அலட்டிக்காம சும்மா கெத்தா தனியா வந்து அத்தனை பேருக்கும் தண்ணி காட்டும். எப்போ எதுலயும் தன்னோட தனித்தன்மை இழக்கவே இழக்காது. Yes, a lion is always a lion. There are so many jackals and other animals in the forest, but there will be only one lion. And even if it is single, it will be the king of jungle. It is not only a description, but also a clear declaration. சிங்கத்தை பத்தி பேசிட்டு நம்ம சிங்க குட்டிகளையும் சிங்க பெண்களையும் பத்தி நம்ம பேசாம இருக்க முடியுமா? அவங்கள எப்படி நான் மறப்பேன்? அவங்க தான் என்னுடைய உயிராச்சே. என் நெஞ்சில் குடியிருக்கும். என்னுடைய தோழர்களுக்கும் தோழிகளுக்கும் நேர்ல வர முடியாத சூழல்ல வீட்ல இருந்துகிட்டே நம்மளோட இந்த மாநாட்டுல நேரலை வாயிலாக கலந்துகிட்டு இருக்கிற என்னுடைய அம்மாக்கள், அக்கா தங்கைகள், அண்ணன் தம்பிகள்,
and to the mothers and sisters and brothers who are not able to travel all the way to Madurai to attend this conference.
என்னோட உயிர் வணக்கம், வீரம் விளையும் மாமதுரை மண்ணை வணங்குகிறேன். இந்த மதுரைனாலே உடனே ஞாபகத்துக்கு வரது சீறி பாஞ்சி துள்ளி குதிக்கிற யாருக்கும் அடங்காத காளைகள் விளையாடுற அலங்காநல்லூர் ஜல்லிக்கட்டு தான்.
When one talks about Madurai, one talks about the Alanganallur Jallikattu.
அழகர் ஆத்துல இறங்குற வைபவம் மதுரை மீனாட்சி அம்மன். இந்த மண்ணோட உணர்வு பூர்வமான மண் இது. அது மட்டும் இல்ல, இந்த மண்ணில் வாழ்ற மக்களும் அப்படித்தான் உணர்வு பூர்வமான ஆளுங்க.
And the people of Madurai are also emotional people.
ஒரே ஒருத்தரை பத்தி தான் மனசுக்குள்ள ஓடிக்கிட்டே இருந்தது. அவர் யாருன்னு உங்களுக்கும் தெரிஞ்சிருக்கும்.
When I stepped on the soil of Madurai,
சரி, நமக்கு ரொம்ப ரொம்ப பிடிச்சது புரட்சி தலைவர் எம்ஜிஆர் அவர்கள் தான். அவரோட பழகிறதுக்கு எனக்கு வாய்ப்பு கிடைக்கல. ஆனா
the first person that came to my mind was MGR. I've never met him or spoken to him.
கேப்டன் விஜயகாந்த் அவர்களோட பழகிறதுக்கு எனக்கு நிறையவே வாய்ப்பு கிடைச்சது. அவரும் மண்ணை சேர்ந்தவர். அவரை மறக்க முடியுமா?
I had the opportunity to meet him and talk to him.
தமிழ்நாட்டு மக்கள் உணர்வுபூர்வமா உண்மையா நம்ம பக்கத்திலே நிக்கிறவங்க. அதுக்கு ஒரு மிகப்பெரிய அடையாளம் தான் இந்த மதுரை மண். நம்ம தமிழக வெற்றி கழகம் கையில் எடுத்திருக்கிற அரசியலும் அப்படித்தான். உண்மையான அரசியல், உணர்வு பூர்வமான அரசியல், நல்ல அரசியல், நல்லவங்களுக்கான அரசியல், நாட்டு மக்களுக்கான அரசியல், நல்லது மட்டுமே செய்கிற அரசியல்.
TVK is also a party that wants to do good for the people of the
நம்மளுடைய இரண்டாவது மாநில மாநாடு வாகை சூடும் வரலாறு திரும்புகிறது.
This is the second conference.
அப்படி இந்த மாநாட்டுக்கு பேர் வச்சிருக்கிறோம். 1967லயும் 1977லயும் நம்ம தமிழக அரசியல் மிகப்பெரிய ஒண்ணு நடந்துச்சு இல்லையா? அதே மாதிரி
was created in Tamil Nadu politics.
2026ல அப்படி
In the
ஒரு
same way,
திரும்ப
next year in 2026,
சொல்றதுக்கான மாநாடு தான் நம்மளோட இந்த இரண்டாவது மாநில மாநாடு.
history is going to repeat.
விக்கிரவாண்டி வீசாலையில நம்மளுடைய ஃபர்ஸ்ட் மாநாடு நடத்தணும், வெற்றி கொள்கை திருவிழா. அதுக்கப்புறமே நீங்க பார்த்திருப்பீங்க தமிழக அரசியல் நமக்கு எதிராக எத்தனை குரல்கள். ஆனா உங்களுக்கு நல்லா தெரியுமே எந்த குரலும் மக்களோட குரலை மட்டுமே
But you know, we don't really hear the criticism. We only hear people's voices and what people have to say.
குரல்களையும் சின்னதா ஒரு சிரிப்போடவே கடந்து வந்திருக்கிறோம்.
We overcome all the criticism that the party has faced.
இந்த ஒற்றை தமிழ் மகனோட குரல் மட்டுமல்ல, ஒட்டுமொத்த தமிழ்நாட்டு மக்களுடைய குரல். தமிழ்நாட்டில் இருக்கிற ஒவ்வொரு வீட்டில இருந்தும் ஒலிக்கிற குரல். ஒட்டுமொத்த உலகெங்கும் வாழும் ஒவ்வொரு தமிழ் வீட்டிலிருந்தும் எழும் குரல்.
We will only listen to the voice of the people, each and every household in the state.
மதம், இனம், பாலினம், மொழி கடந்து இந்த நாட்டின் மூளை முடுக்கெங்கும் ரசிகர்களாக இருந்து தோழர்களாக நம்மோடு பயணிக்க துவங்கியுள்ள அனைவரோடும் இணைந்த ஒவ்வொரு மனிதருக்காகவும் ஒலிக்கிற உரிமை குரல். மாநில உரிமைக்காக, பெண் உரிமைக்காக, சமூக நீதிக்காக, சமநீதிக்காக, மதச்சார்பின்மைக்காக அதனால் இந்த குரலுக்கு எதிராக இன்னும் இன்னும் எத்தனை எத்தனை குரல்கள் வந்தாலும் ஓங்கி ஒலிக்குமே தவிர ஒரு நாளும்
we will overcome all the criticism.
It is an unstoppable voice, an unstoppable force. நம்ம அரசியலுக்கு வர்றதுக்கு முன்னாடி அட இவரெல்லாம் அவரே வரல, இவரே வரல, இவருங்க வர போறாரு அப்படின்ட்டு நிறைய பேர் ஜோசியம் சொன்னாங்க. அப்புறம் நம்ம கட்சியினுடைய பேர் அறிவிச்சதுக்கு அப்புறம்
this star will not come, that star will not come.
அதெல்லாம் முடியாதுன்னாங்க. அப்புறம் ரொம்ப முக்கியமா மாநாடுல எவ்வளவு பெரிய விஷயம். அதெல்லாம் இவர் ஒத்தால எப்படி பண்ண முடியும்? சும்மா பக்கத்துல புசியானதை வச்சுக்கிட்டு மாநாடு ஏன் என் கூட இருக்கிறவங்களே
But
கூட
then
தான்
Vikramanti happened.
அதுக்கப்புறம் என்ன நடந்துச்சுன்னு உங்க எல்லாருக்குமே தெரியும். இப்ப புதுசா ஒண்ணு
And you know what
சொல்றாங்க.
happened after that?
அது என்னடானா ஆட்சியை பிடிக்கிறதெல்லாம் அவ்வளவு ஈஸி இல்ல இல்லையா? இப்ப அதெல்லாம்
And now
இப்ப இங்க வந்துட்டாங்க.
we
இவர் நேரா
hear
ஷூட்டிங்ல இருந்து வருவாரா? வந்து ஆட்சியை
the parties have raised questions to how somebody who's just a debutant can come to power.
ஒரு பக்கம் இன்னொரு பக்கம் கூட்டம்லாம் ஓகே தான், அது எப்படி ஓட்டா மாறும் அப்படின்றது இன்னொரு பக்கம். இப்படி கதை
And the other thing we hear is, yes,
பாடல்கள்
there are crowds, but will this translate into votes?
அதனால இந்த அரசியல் ஆய்வாளர்களுக்கு நான் சொல்றதெல்லாம் ஒண்ணேதான், நல்லா கேட்டுக்கங்க. இந்த விஜய் ஏதோ இந்த கூட்டத்துல மட்டுமே இருக்கிறாரு அப்படின்னு மட்டும் தப்பு கணக்கு போட்டா.
News 18 Primetime Studio, presented by Schneider Electric Smart Home Solutions.
Good evening, you're watching Brass Tacks. I'm Zaka Jacob. We're coming to you live from the CNN News 18 Primetime Studio, presented by Schneider Electric Smart Home Solutions. The monsoon session The monsoon session of Parliament concluded today, while much of it was washed out because of the opposition's protest on the special intensive review of electoral rolls in Bihar. On the last 2 days, the Corrupt Netas Bill and the Online Gaming Bill, the Online Game Bill, of course, got passed in both the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, but the Corrupt Netas Bill was introduced in both houses and it was referred to a standing committee of Parliament. The new proposed law will make anyone, from Prime Minister to Chief Minister to ministers, they will have to resign from their position if they are arrested under the Prevention of Corruption Act and kept in jail for more than 30 days. On the 31st day, their position will be taken away from them. Now, while this is an absolutely welcome step, if we are talking about cleaning up politics, if we are talking about having Swachh politics,